that will make your lives easier, which is always a good thing. So here's where we're going to start. It's right in Canvas. If you don't know how to get to Canvas, it's mpsaz.instructure.com. That's up at the top of the screen here. Or you can go to the Mesa homepage, scroll all the way down to academic resources, and there's a link underneath there. That is how your students can access it as well. So if they're having trouble getting to it, they can do that. You could also teach them how to bookmark things in their bookmark bar. That's a good techie skill for them to have. For my students on the first week of school or so, we go through and we bookmark their email and their Clever account and big ideas in Canvas so that they have access to those things quickly when they need it. So I'm logged into my Canvas. This is my Canvas dashboard. And for this, I'm going to be going into my demo course. You can go into your live course if you're following along and set some of this stuff up. It can always be undone or removed. So there's nothing here that's going to mess up your course too much. So here we go. I'm going to go into my course. And today we're looking at the navigation menu. So let's look at some terminology first. On the very, very, very far left of your screen, there is a bar of some color. Depending on what school you're in, this bar will be a different color. Since I'm in my Sandbox course, it's gray, and I have a Mesa Public Schools logo up here. Yours might look different in your Sandbox course because I have access to more account levels. This bar is called your global navigation menu. So global means it's there throughout everything that you're doing in Canvas. So it's worldwide within your Canvas world here, the global navigation. So this cannot be customized. It is what it is. We could do things at district level, but it's tricky. But you can get to a lot of the global tools here. So you can get to your profile and your profile settings. Okay. Click on it with my other mouse. And your profile settings, your notification, and if teachers direct share content with you, it shows up in here. You can get to your dashboard by clicking there. You can get to your courses list with all courses down at the bottom. Your calendar, inbox, which is the email service within Canvas, so students can email you there, watch for notifications. And then comment, which is where you can share and be shared with different resources. In the comments, we have posted some exemplar resources. If you search for the tag MPS online, I'm not going to go over how to do any of that today, but you want to check it out and play around. And then you have the help button where you can submit work orders if you need help with any of that. So that is the global navigation menu over here. Right next to that, when you are inside a course, is your course navigation menu, and that's all these links over here. So starting with home, going down, yours might be in a different order than mine, whole bunch of links, lots and lots of links. Now, if you want to be really fancy the next time you're in class, or if you're in a video demonstrating something, and you want to collapse that menu, at the very top, there are 3 lines. I click on that, it hides my navigation menu, gives me a little bit more screen space for what I'm doing in the course, and then you click on it again to reveal the course navigation menu. Now, what we're going to be talking about today is the number of links that are over here in the course navigation. There are a lot of links, and if you have met children of all ages, even adults, like to click on things to see what they do. And they will get lost in the black hole of all of the things in your course that they can click on. So what we're going to do is shrink this list of links to make sure you're sending your students to exactly where you want them to be and not clicking all over the world. So it makes it a little more focused experience, makes it less confusing for them as to where they should be in your course if they don't have all these things that they could click on and they don't know where they need to go. If you can narrow it down to just a few things that are the absolute essentials, it will make life easier for them for their parents and for you when you're trying to explain where kids need to go. So to customize this, I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom of that list and click on settings. Okay, these are the settings just for this course. So if you have more than one course, you'll need to go in and customize these settings for each of those courses. So if I were to modify this, my navigation here, it would not translate into my other courses. This is only tied to this course. I'm going to zoom in a little bit because when you clicked on settings, it probably did not look like what I just did. You probably landed on course details. So at the very top of your settings screen, you'll find you have probably 5 options. I'm pretty sure you guys have access to all of these. First one is course details. That's where we went over yesterday. You could put a course image in for the dashboard tiles. You can put that in there. You can see your course name, course code, blueprint. Generally, you don't want to mess with any of this stuff. This is not a good thing to mess with anywhere in there. Just leave that stuff alone. Next is the sections that are in your course. So if you have several class periods that are in this course for you, you might have first period, second period, third period in there. And then it's navigation. Navigation is where we're going today. So we're going to be dragging and dropping items in order to reorder them in the course navigation, or we could remove the items from the course navigation. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. You can see more about what I'm doing. We're going to look at each of these items. So home. Generally, even if you could, you don't want to get rid of home. You should always leave that there so that they can always get back to where they need to be. You can move it if you want, I think you can move it. Oh, apparently it's locked in place now. You used to be able to move it, but it's a good idea to just leave it at the top because that's a natural place for people to look when they're trying to just get out of where they are and back to the beginning again. They can click on home. So we're going to leave that there, which apparently is the only thing you can do with that. So next, announcements. You may be using announcements in your course. If I look over in my course navigation menu, you see I have home here. And right next to announcements, there is a crossed out eyeball there. That means that students cannot see this in their course navigation. Now, why can't they see it? It's here on this list, showing that they should be able to see it, but they can't. Well, that happens even when it's active over here and it's supposed to be in there. It's not visible because there's no content in that section. So if there's no content, it's not going to show over here because there's nothing to see there. So students won't be able to access it because there's no reason for them to. Now you'll notice down here, modules isn't crossed out. That's because I have a module in there that I used. I created that sample module the other day. So that's in my demo course right now. It's active. Pages is visible because I have a page there. Assignments is visible. Discussions and quizzes are all visible because I have content created in each of those sections. So students can see all of those things. If I scroll down, you can see outcomes is not visible. There aren't any outcomes in this course, so they can't see it. There's no reason to get to it. And everything else is visible, which means that there's something there that they could get to, even if we didn't want them to. So let's say I'm not using announcements. I don't need to worry about it being visible. It's not going to be unless I make one. So you don't have to do anything with that if you don't want to. But if you want to clean this up, if I want this to go away, I don't plan on using announcements. I can click on these 3 dots over here. Remember, every time you see 3 dots, there is a flyout menu associated with it. And I have 2 choices. I can disable it or I can move it. If I click disable, what will happen? I'm going to scroll all the way down past all these things. It's going to go in with this group. So it says drag items here to hide them from students. So disabling most pages will cause students who visit those pages to be redirected to the course homepage. So I'm going to, because I've decided for now I'm not going to use course announcements, I'm going to disable it. It disappears from up here. And if I scroll down, here it is. Now let's say I change my mind next week and decide that I want to use announcements. I think it would be a good thing. Announcements can be displayed on your homepage. They get emailed to students as long as they don't turn off those notifications. Maybe I do want to use announcements. Well, I can click on that 3 dots right next to it again, and I can enable it. I can put it back up here. It ends up at the bottom of my list. And I can click on it and say move. Decide where I want to move it to, at the top, before something, after something, or at the bottom. Let's say I want to put it after something, and then I can choose where I want it to go after and say move. That is one way. See, now it's up here at the top again. That is one way of moving something. Another way is to click and drag it to where I want it to be in the course navigation. Now you can also click and drag things from the top list down to the bottom. But with this long of a list, it's pretty tricky sometimes to drag something from way up here all the way down into here into disabled. So sometimes it's easier just to click and say disabled. So I'm going to go through this. I'm going to say, am I going to use the syllabus page? Maybe. There's some schools that are using the syllabus page. Some people that don't. If you want to use it, you can use it. You can contact your region's OIDC to get more help with how that page works, or you can look at our cohort courses for some help on that. I think we were working on a page for that. I'm going to click disable, and that's going to go away because I'm not going to use it. Grades, kids like to have access to what their grades is, so I'm going to leave that. Modules, I highly recommend using modules for all of your course content. It gives your kids one place to go to, and it organizes them in order so they know what to do first, what to do next. So I usually base all, except in very rare circumstances, place all of my course content in modules, which means they don't need to get to the pages page because it's all in modules. And also means they don't need to get to assignments because I'm putting all of them in modules. Same with discussions and quizzes. People, depends on whether you're going to be having students work in groups or not. Probably really hard to manage right now, but if you're back in the classroom next year, you want to know about collaborations through groups and making people things, or if you want students discussing different books and you have groups of students using different textbooks and discussing them, you could set up groups there. Again, look at your Canvas cohort course or contact your IDC for help with putting that up. Outcomes are like standards. It's pretty advanced. I'm going to turn that off for now. Files, be very careful. So there are some instances where maybe you would want students to have access to files. But the flip of that is that maybe your files are your quiz images, and maybe you don't want them to get to your quiz images. Class notebook, that is OneNote. So if you're using OneNote and you want them to be able to access it, turn in things from OneNote in here, you can do that. Or if you want to create class notebooks, you would use that. I'm going to turn it off for now. If you haven't already been using it in class, then you shouldn't be using it now. Google Drive, because I haven't figured out why they would use that in the course navigation. If someone can tell me, that would be good. Conferences, collaborations, I'm going to have off. Conferences I've never used. I don't think it's that great. Attendance doesn't work. You can't use that. And then the rest of these things. Cisco WebEx is our video conferencing platform of choice. I found it's really easy to set up meetings with my students through WebEx and Canvas. You don't have to send out a link. They just log into Canvas, go to Cisco WebEx in their course navigation, and click join to join the meeting. New analytics, what was that?
Oh, quick question. So the Cisco WebEx on Canvas is working now?
Yes, they fixed the.
I had all mine set up in on the calendar and to-do list, and they would access the calendar, and it wouldn't take them to where I needed them to go. So.
Okay. Well, try having them go to your course and click on WebEx in the course navigation, and then they'll have an option to join there. I can show you in my other class at the end of this meeting how I have them do that. When I'm done with the course navigation. Okay, next thing, new analytics. You can see what students are looking at. This is still being kind of developed, but you can go in there and see it. Students cannot access new analytics, even if it's available in the course navigation, they won't see it. but you can access it if it's in the course navigation and active. If you disable it, then you won't be able to access it anymore. So I'm going to keep mine up here so I can go and look at it and see what students are doing. Lockdown browser, right now, maybe they don't need the lockdown browser because that's kind of the point, is to have a secure testing environment, and then who knows where they are, how many cell phones and devices they have. So I feel like it's one more thing to have not work in their home environment and make it more difficult to access things. So I would say for now to turn that off. Okay, now from there, so I've disabled all those things. I can reorganize these in a way that makes sense. So if I'm using announcements, those will probably be at the top. The next most important thing is probably accessing the course content. So I'm going to put modules next, and then grades, and then WebEx. But you guys can customize it however you want. This is just how I'm using it in my course right now. And then the very, very, very most important part of all of this is to scroll all the way down to the bottom. You may have noticed this blue save button. I'm going to click save. Then I'm going to look over here at my new course navigation menu. And you can see that all of these items now have crossed out eyes because they are not visible to students. You as the teacher can still access all this stuff. You can still go into quizzes and discussions and create things there and then move them to your modules if you want to, if your workflow goes that way. But your students won't be able to get to it, and it makes it so much easier for them to know where they're supposed to go. So I'm going to go to the home page, and then we're going to look at this under student view to see what it looks like. So on the right hand side, you can see student view. And there we go. Here's their new course navigation. There are only 4 things on it because remember, I don't have any announcements published, so announcements isn't going to show until I do that. And they have modules, grades, and WebEx, and that's all they have to click on. And it's so much simpler for them to be able to get to things if they don't have 800 options. You can see I have my module and assignment, quiz, and discussion here, which is why those other pages had been available. Okay, I'm leaving student view by going to the bottom right corner and clicking leave student view. Theoretically, I will leave student view now. There we go. Okay, the next thing I said I was going to show you to do is what if you want something in your course navigation that isn't available to you? So it's not here. Like, let's say you want to click link to a specific website or to Clever or to your textbook or anything really. Well, here's how you're going to do that. I'm going to go to settings. I'm going to add something new to my course navigation by using an app. So at the very top in my settings, here's the next tab is apps. I'm going to click on that. And these are some tools that you can add to your course. Some of these tools are paid, and you have to have a paid subscription to access them and to put them into your Canvas. A lot of them are free. So if you find something that you want to try, or you see things that you want to see that would be useful for your students, then you can look through, and there's so many. Don't get lost. But the one that we're going to use today is called the redirect tool. So in the search, I'm going to search for redirect. It looks like this blue arrow. If you hover your mouse over, it says redirect tool, and it adds links to external web resources up in your navigation items. So I'm going to click on that, and then I'm going to add the app. Here is the options for that. So by default, it names itself redirect tool. You do not want it named redirect tool. You want it to be named whatever resource it is that you want to send them to. So let's say I want to send them to Google image search. Because in my photo class, I want them looking at pictures. The image or images? Hold on, let me look. Images. So images.google.com allows you to drop a picture into the search bar and do a search for it. I'm going to go in here and I put the URL, which is the web address for that resource, which is right here at the top. I'm going to paste it right in here. You can do that for any web resource. You could even link to a Google Drive file by getting the link to it, and make sure it's anyone with the link, not anyone in Mesa Public Schools with the link. And you could link to it in here. Force open in a new tab. That's probably a good idea because you want them to be able to get back to Canvas easily. And if they open the link within the tab that Canvas is in, then they would have to re-navigate back to Canvas or keep hitting back. So if you make them open it in a new tab, then that won't happen. And then the most important part for the whole point of this is to select show in course navigation. Ignore these other things. So show in course navigation, and I'm going to say add app. Then we go back to navigation. And where did it go? Refresh. Oh, there it is. So I had to refresh to make it pop up this time. But there, it showed up in my course navigation here. And just like anything else, I can disable or remove it, or I can click and drag it to where I want it to be. And then scroll all the way down, save that. And here it is over in my course navigation now. And if I click on it, it opens in a new tab. And there it is. Now you can do this with anything. So, and you can do it as many times as you want. So let's say I want to add another link over there. I'm going to go back to my settings, to apps. I'm going to find the redirect tool. Maybe, there we go. I'm going to add the app again. And I'm going to put whatever it is I want to have in here. Probably don't want that. Who wants a link to that? But anyway, show in course navigation. Force open a new tab, add app. Then I'll go back to my navigation, refresh to make it pop up. Place it where I want to place it, and then save. And there it is in my course navigation. Now let's say you want to get rid of it. If you're like, oh crap, I forgot to title it right. I put the wrong address in there. Just like any of these other things, click on the three dots next to what you want to get rid of, disable it. I can do that with whatever I want. Click save, and it goes away. Okay, that is all I have for today. Hopefully it wasn't confusing. Does anyone have any questions?
I do, Joe. This is Jim Herbert. I'm trying to access big ideas. You think that would be a good place to put it under apps, or
Yeah.
the problem I'm having is the kids are. I'm not seeing a way to put it into my modules, but kids are having a hard time because their to-do list is so long for their daily stuff to do that they're like losing it and don't know where to go to find it, because they're getting all 6 classes and all the stuff on the right hand side. So is there a way I can link it in and put it in a module for like big ideas homework?
I haven't have any of the other YDCs played with that? Specifically big ideas?
Any math teachers out there?
You wouldn't be able to link them directly to the big ideas assignment you're talking about, but you could have what Julie's talking about and put it in your course navigation to at least get them into big ideas. And then once they're in big ideas, they'd have to know where they're going. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Initially, I was trying to do like, say I'm doing chapter 4, 4.1 and link them to that assignment in my module, like numeric or sequential order, but I couldn't figure out how to do that. So, so then I
Yeah,
tried to do just the book, but then I still couldn't find a way to get to that external link. But might try this
Right.
out here.
Right. Since the kids have to go through Clever to get to big ideas, I think you run into all sort of permissions problems with, logging in and stuff like that. So probably the best way is just to have a link that will get them into Clever, probably just to Clever. And then from Clever, they have to go to big ideas and then get into what you want. I can't think of a way to get them to the exact page that you're talking about because of all the permissions they have to go through.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm kind of running into too.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Jim, if I hear of any other solutions, I'll let you know, okay? I think that the math department's going to be your best bet. They've been using it for years. And so if anyone's come up with a good solution for that, it would be one of them. So maybe check with your PLC. Actually, your PLC is kind of small. Maybe check with like the Algebra 1 PLC. They might know. Okay, any other questions today?
That's it for the chat.
I'm looking in the chat to see what I got. Put Clever in. Yes, you can put Clever. So I went to our homepage, and down at the bottom it's got Learning Dashboard option for at home. And I want to copy that link. So I selected it, did Control-C. And then when I go to add my redirect tool, add the app. I'm going to paste that in there and then call this Clever, maybe Clever Access. Make sure you check Show in Course Navigation, add the app, and then they'll be able to access that through your course navigation over there. So if you have kids that aren't accessing it or have trouble finding links on the home page or things like that, because our homepage is pretty full of links, then you can access it in here. So here's Clever Access. I would just need to move it where I want it to be and then save it. So if you have tools that your kids use regularly, like Clever, then that would be a good thing to add into your course navigation. Britton, I did. So, well, I didn't get too fancy with it. So to get rid of a link that you didn't want, you can disable it here. But you could also go into apps. Let's say you just need to fix something. You can go to View App Configuration and then find it on this list. So here's my Clever Access. I go over to Settings and Edit, and then I can change like the title here and then submit that change if I wanted to. And that'll fix it. I can also get rid of, like, delete those. So if you make a lot of mistakes and you need to just get rid of it because it's giving you a headache to look at your navigation list, you can go back here and I can delete that access there, that redirect tool, and then it's gone. If I refresh this, oops, I broke it. Back. This happens to everybody. There, so now it's all gone because I deleted it. Yeah, Jim, how about I just contact you? I'll contact you later, okay? Learning dashboard. Okay, we did that. Let me check all of these. Okay, that looks like that's all the questions. So unless somebody has anything else, I think we're done for today. Tomorrow, does anyone remember what I'm doing tomorrow? I don't remember, but I have another one of these tomorrow, and I'm sure it's useful, whatever it is, and worth your time. Same time. Bye, guys.
Thank you, Julie. Excellent work.
Thank you. Like, you can get a picture now because Turned off my screen sharing. Oh, organize